What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our 21-part guide for the FGC characters. Like I did say, you guys did not hear me wrong. There's going to be 21 videos breaking down almost every single aspect of Ken, Terry, and Ryu. So make sure you stick around or just watch whichever character you main. But I promise you it's going to be definitely worth the watch. I placed top 40 in my state, Georgia, which is like a really stacked region, for my first year of playing competitive Smash. So I think I know what I'm doing a little bit with these characters, and I can definitely give you guys information. My past channel was full of guides like this, and I wanted to be able to recreate them and update you guys on how to get better at these characters. So stick around, and I hope you guys enjoy. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the RYU moveset guide. Today we're going to break down Ryu's moveset to the best of my ability. Now before we get into the video, I'd like to explain to you guys that this guide is one of a 21-part series where I'm going to show you guys how to play Ken, Ryu, and Terry. So make sure you go into the description for the playlist below. Alright everyone, so first things first, a simple breakdown of who Ryu is as a character. Ryu's character kit, a lot of people like to debate on whether or not Ryu is a bait and punish character or a zoner. In my opinion, I don't think it's a black and white answer. I think it's a little bit of both. The character is able to fight up close, he's able to zone pretty well. It's not the best zoning in the game, we'll get to why that is later on in the video. But being able to zone and have explosive up close power and being able to have tools that are really good for bait and punish is honestly a really dangerous kit. A lot of people sleep on Ryu. I've seen videos of top players such as Void putting Ryu in low tier. Ryu's kind of slept on, and people don't understand how good this character is. Now if you main Ken, I would highly suggest you pick up Ryu. Those two have beautiful chemistry in terms of the matchup charts. Any kind of matchup that you feel like Ken struggles in, Ryu definitely has that, at least even or slightly winning. But with that aside, for Ryu can operate as a solo main character. It's going to take some work and a full understanding of when you can use your projectiles. It all comes down to you as a player being very knowledgeable about how your character operates and knowing how to be versatile in every single matchup. One unique aspect of Ryu that makes him stand out from all the other characters in this game is that Ryu can always face his opponent with the auto turnaround technique. He can special cancel his normals into his specials, and he also has the ability to change up his projectile speeds into 6 different variations. Most characters in this game do not have that luxury of being able to change up their projectile speeds into 6 different variations, which changes up the timing of how your opponent reacts to certain things, can mix up pressure, can bring beautiful mix-ups in neutral. It's such a good thing to have in your kit, and luckily Ryu has something that explosive to make up for the fact that he's not as fast as Ken or Terry, but he definitely does have the ability to control the stage from afar. Now with all that being said, I'm going to flex my clips on y'all real quick so y'all can get a better understanding of what Ryu looks like in action, and then right after that we're going to hop right into the guide, I promise. Alright, so first off we have Ryu's jabs 1, 2, and 3. Usually we don't really go for this move much because it has some inconsistency issues. However, with Ryu there are certain combos at certain percents where you need to use jab in order to confirm the sweet spot of Shoryuken. If you use other combo tools such as P-jab, which we'll talk about later on in the guide, it'll pop your opponent up too high to get sweet spotted by Shoryuken, and they're not going to die as early as you want them to. Jabs 1 and 2, which are cancelable, are really useful for Ryu in terms of catching opponents from medium height, and jab 3 doesn't maximize damage on confirms, so it really isn't that useful of an option either. So like I said, jabs 1 and 2, you're simply just going to use them for kill confirms at later percents. Alright, so next up we have P-jab. So you probably wonder why we call it P-jab. The reason we call it P-jab is because it's a proximity based move. It only comes out when you're up close to your opponent. Now in order to do P-jab, you have to walk up to your opponent and hold the A button. For jabs 1, 2, and 3, you would tap the A button real quick in succession. However, with P-jab, you just want to walk up to your opponent in front of them and then hold the A button. P-jab does 14.4% and sends your opponent basically nowhere. This move is honestly kind of busted when it first came out. However, like I was mentioning earlier, just right before this, it's really not that good to use at high percent if you want to get the kill with RYU. Most times you want to just go for jabs because P-jab, like I said, pops your opponent up, and at high percent it pops your opponent right out of the sweet spot zone for both Tatsumaki and for Shoryuken. So make sure that you only use P-jab at low percent and then convert right into your light confirms at later percents. Next up, we have RYU's heavy jab. This move is actually pretty underrated, man. If your opponent falls out of the range for P-jab to connect, you just get this heavy jab input which knocks your opponent far away from you. It's pretty safe and very useful because it has such good range, and unlike Ken's, this thing actually has uses. It can take stocks. It's a very strong move at later percents, especially at ledge. Guys, please use this move more. Even I'm guilty of it. Even though it's not cancelable and it's kind of a little bit laggy, it's such a good move to use to keep your opponents in check. Next up, we have RYU's P-tilt. It's such a good move for jab blocking and getting kill confirms. This move pulls your opponent in towards RYU, and because it pulls them in and the way it pulls them in, you will almost always get a sweet spot Shoryuken off this move. It's so useful, guys. It's one of my favorite ways to convert into Shoryuken with RYU because it's just so satisfying and it's incredibly hard for your opponent to get out or to get a sour spot hit on the attack. Next up, we have RYU's light F tilt. This move itself is so good because the entire leg is invincible and the foot of the attack is the sweet spot. The sweet spot itself pops your opponent into the air, so you can get any aerial conversions off on your opponent at almost any percent. It's just that good. Next up, we have RYU's heavy F tilt, aka collarbone breaker. Now, at first this move looks pretty useless until you realize that it actually is a shield breaking move. Now, this move doesn't break full shields, which means it doesn't break shields at 100% of its health. However, there's a trick to it. If you pressure somebody's shield by pressing down tilt, that's just enough shield damage to get the F tilt to break their shield. And most times your opponent is going to be so scared of fighting RYU that they're going to hold shield just long enough for you to break it. Next up, we have RYU's light up tilt. This move, in my opinion, is one of my favorite moves to use with RYU because of the fact that I can catch people's jumps, get so many cool confirms and mix-ups off of this. It gives me so much space to find out what my opponent is going to pick, and then I can just react to it or come up with new things to throw my opponent off and put fear into them. This move is extremely lagless and combos into so many other moves in RYU's kit that honestly, it's hard to not fall in love with this attack. Next up, we have RYU's heavy up tilt. This move is often used as an anti-air with RYU because of the fact that it is invincible up top on the upper body. It has a disjoint on the upper body, and this move can be cancelled into specials. Next up, we have RYU's light down tilt. Guys, this is the move you're going to be spamming the most in neutral because it is a frame 2 option. If you want to punish your opponent fast enough into a kill confirm, this is the move you want to go for. It's kind of silly that a move that you can cancel is frame 2, guys, so make sure you abuse this in neutral to make sure you get these good, easy kill confirms on your opponent, which are extremely cheesy, but it is what it is. Now, light down tilt does combo into itself, and it also combos into its heavy variation, and it's really good for extending combos, and not only that, it's very good for adding on pressure to people's shields. When pressing people's shields with down tilt, you can probably break their shields if they don't react fast enough. You can cast their rolls or cast any of their other options. You can cast their jumps by switching into up tilt. It's just that lagless on people's shield. Next up, we have RYU's heavy down tilt. Guys, this move is so good for your hit confirms because if you can hit confirm this into a special cancel, it works for your Shakunetsu and also works for Tatsu kill confirm. So it's really good for building up damage because it does like 8.4%, and then you add on the special on top of that. And it's also really good for popping your opponent into the proper place and giving them enough hit stun to be killed off with Tatsumaki at later percents. And it's also good for really good mix-ups on people's shield and on hit confirm. Next up, we have RYU's dash attack. Honestly, I never go for this move because it's pretty laggy. You can't cancel anything out of it, and overall, it's just not that good in my opinion. However, it is a kill move. So if you ever get desperate and you need to get a kill, you can go ahead and go for dash attack if you got the read, but most times you can just go for a jab or down to show where you can cancel if you know where your opponent is going to be. So I really don't go for dash attack too much. Next up, we have RYU's F smash. This move is just straight up stupid simply because of the fact that it can cover up so much range and it's so powerful. It does 21% and it kills mad early, guys. If you catch your opponent picking an option and you read it, especially at ledge, you're probably going to take their stock for it. It's just that good. Next up we have up smash. This is a pretty good move to use out of shield, especially because frame 1 on up smash, you're already ducking down. The character crouches from their standing position, frame 1 guys, literally the first frame they're crouching, that way they're already avoiding whatever attack is hitting their shield if it's at their head level, and then they rise up with an invincible hitbox. So this move is pretty good to use at later percents when you can't use Shoryuken or get the sweet spot on Shoryuken. And if you also want to get real saucy with it, you can do an auto turnaround up smash, which requires you to drop shield and then immediately do up smash. That way Ryu can turn around himself and then follow in with the smash attack. Alright, now recently Ryu did get buffed and now they can cancel their down smash. This is Ryu's down smash, guys. Now since down smash has been cancelled, I personally think it was to benefit Ryu because down smash cancels can follow into Shakunetsu all the way past mid percents. It can combo into Hadouken. It's really good for Tatsu as well. It's such a good addition to Ryu's kit. I think it benefits Ryu way more than it did for Ken. I think it was made specifically for this character to make sure that he was a lot better in neutral. Down smash itself does around 19%, almost 20%. And guys, the cool part about down smash is the fact that it's frame 5. It's such a quick move that does 20% and you can combo into it and combo out of it. Next up I have Ryu's Nair. Ryu's Nair is pretty good because of the fact that it can beat projectiles. It's really good for comboing onto your opponent. It lingers very long, so you can get really good edge guards with it. But my least favorite part about Ryu's Nair is the fact that throughout the entire move there's a specific point where Ryu cannot cancel his Nair into specials. Ken can cancel his Nair into Tatsumaki or whatever special he wants to at almost any point that he really feels like doing it, but Ryu himself, around a certain point where his Nair gets really weak, he can no longer cancel it into special, and I think that's to make it so that his lingering effect isn't just brain dead. With that aside though, Ryu's Nair is still a very good move to use in neutral. You can use it while rising, you can use it while descending. Although it doesn't have any range, it's still a good move because you can use it to combo into like down tilt or down smash. And my favorite thing is you can combo into Shoryuken off of it, so keep that in mind. Next up we have Ryu's Fair. The Fair has a sweet spot and sour spot that you want to incorporate into your gameplay. Sweet spot Fair sends your opponent flying, and sour spot Fair pops your opponent right above you. Next up we have Ryu's back air. Now most times you won't see Shotos going for their back airs a lot because of the auto turnaround mechanic. It adds some additional frames it requires for us to turn around and do back air. But to keep it in perspective, in Smash 4, back air was one of Ryu's most broken moves, and in this game, it's really not that different. You can see how safe it is and how strong the move it is when it connects, and at early percents, back air sends them nowhere, but does 19.2%, which means you can combo into down smash, guys. That's almost 40% because after down smash, you can throw a projectile or cancel into a special, guys. So keep all of that in mind, and just remember that you need to use back air more in your gameplay just because this move is so good. Next up we have Ryu's up air. This move is a 2-hit attack. The first hit simply just stuns your opponent to get the second hit off. However, you can cancel both the first and second hit, and most times you want to cancel the first hit to get whatever confirm you're looking for, simply because it has no knockback and won't send your opponent anywhere. Next up we have Ryu's down air. Unlike most spikes in this game which send your opponent straight down, Ryu's down air sends your opponent at an angle. Now because of that, your opponent cannot tech the stage to live, unlike most spikes in this game, which makes down air pretty broken if you think about it. Another cool thing about down air is it's a really good combo starter, a combo extender, and a good combo finisher. This move has so much stun on it that it's such a good tool to use for mix-ups to bait out options from your opponent. I generally suggest that you do pick it up and try to apply it to your neutral here and there. It's not something you should spam, but it's definitely something to throw your opponent off with. Next up we have Hadouken and Shakunetsu. Like I mentioned earlier in the guide, Ryu has the ability to change up his projectile speeds into 6 different variations. He can change his Hadouken speed into light Hadouken, medium Hadouken, and heavy Hadouken. And he can change his Shakunetsu speed into light Shakunetsu, medium Shakunetsu, and heavy Shakunetsu. All 6 variations change the speeds and damage. When most people see Hadouken or Shakunetsu, they see it as a projectile that can get beat by basically any other move in the game. However, they never really look at the strong aspects. No other character in this game can change the projectiles into 6 different speeds at command. Next up we have Tatsumaki. Recently they buffed Tatsumaki, allowing Ryu to go through projectiles. However, the main thing that did help Tatsumaki was the recent angled buff on heavy down tilt. Now that Tatsumaki is a more reliable move to go for as a kill option, it makes Ryu way more detrimental inside of neutral. So here's a cool thing about Tatsumaki that most people do not know. Tatsumaki is a DI mix-up move in its own right. Heavy Tatsumaki and medium Tatsumaki look almost identical. The only difference is that medium Tatsumaki doesn't do as much damage, and it also is slightly slower, so it doesn't cover as much range as heavy Tatsumaki. But the thing is, they both look exactly the same to the naked eye. So let's say you're doing down tilt Tatsumaki at ledge, and your opponent gets hit and they're expecting a heavy Tatsumaki. Well, your opponent is going to want to hold away from the stage to live longer. However, if you go for medium Tatsumaki and they hold away, they're going to die a lot earlier. And the thing is, your opponent will not know this is coming because it looks exactly the same. You yourself, you wouldn't even know that a different move is coming out unless you've practiced it, unless you know the timing in your head. So let's say you're at ledge and you want to get a down tilt Tatsumaki kill confirmed, but your opponent's probably not at kill percent. The cool thing you can do here is, instead of picking heavy Tatsumaki, which would require your opponent to DI out to live longer, you can go for medium Tatsumaki. And if your opponent is holding away and they go for medium Tatsumaki, they die a lot early because that is the wrong DI for medium Tatsumaki. And unfortunately for your opponent, it's a 50-50 guessing game. They do not know which Tatsu you chose. Next up, you have Shoryuken, which is Ryu's most iconic kill move. Now with Ryu's Shoryuken, you just want to keep it simple. You want to go for heavy Shoryuken. You can't go for mix-ups with light and medium Shoryuken in terms of the jump height and trying to make it hard for your opponent to punish. But really, most of the times you're trying to get a kill, you're just going to go for heavy Shoryuken. It's the strongest variation of Shoryuken, does the most damage, it does the most knockback, and is still the strongest in the air. So there's really no point of mixing it up, trying to go for the light and medium inputs when you don't really have to. Next up, we have Ryu's throws. They're not really that complicated. All they're for is just to get your opponent into whatever positions you want them to be in. So his forward throw throws his opponent forward, his back throw throws his opponent backwards, up throw pops him up into the air, and his most useful throw that's not really just based on positioning is his down throw. If your opponent DIs incorrectly, you can get a combo off of it with P jab or his heavy jab, but that's about it. It's really not that good to go for in terms of combos. It's just something you can use as a mix-up or a frame trap tool. Next up, you have Focus Attack. Focus Attack is one of my favorite moves to use as these Shotos because it allows me to get out of disadvantage for free by eating up one hit. In this clip right here, you can see that Ryu is able to eat up a fully charged F smash from Terry and deliver the damage right back to him. Now, how exactly does this work? I'll break it down for you guys. So Focus Attack has 3 levels. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. Every time you go up a level, Ryu will blink yellow. So when you're in level 1 and going into level 2, he'll blink yellow. If you're going to level 2 into level 3, he'll blink yellow again. Now, although visually you see the steps of him blinking yellow and going into the next level, there's something cool that's happening behind the scenes. The longer you hold Focus Attack, there's an imaginary meter building up, right? Where it's a damage threshold for when Focus Attack will break. So as you continue to hold the move, even past level 3 until you let go, Ryu is building up his defense to withstand whatever hit is coming towards his way. That's why in this clip, it looks like Ryu's able to just eat up a fully charged F smash for free, but in reality, I've charged my guard to the maximum to eat up that F smash and not get blown away for it. Now that's just the defensive part of Focus Attack. Focus Attack is also able to deliver the hit back and stun your opponents depending on what level it is. So level 1 focus from Ryu sends your opponents flying. However, Ryu can actually get strings and combos off of the angle that level 1 focus sends them into. Next, we have level 2 focus. Level 2 focus stuns your opponent not too long, but it allows you to cancel and get kill confirms and combos off of it. Next up, we have level 3, which does a pretty dumb amount of damage. It does 20.4%, guys, and your opponent will be extremely stunned for this. Level 3 also goes through people's shields. Most time your opponent shouldn't get hit by this, but if you do land it, that's 20% added to whatever kill confirm or combo you're going to go for. One last thing about Ryu's Focus Attack that makes it way better than Ken's is that it's more disjointed than Ken's. And that means that Focus Attack's hitbox extends way further from Ryu's body or his character model than it does with Ken's. And that's very good if you want to reach your opponent. Now before we move on, before I forget, Focus Attack is also very good to use as a movement option. I love spamming it in the air to throw my opponents off because, as a lot of us know, or you may not know, Ryu and Ken have horrible air drifts, but Focus Attack allows us to move around in the air just like every other Smash character. However, it gives us a little bit of armor, which is the difference between us and them. It gives us armor, and it's also a move that we can use as a counter, right? So it kind of makes up for the fact that we have like no drift whatsoever. Alright guys, that is it for the Ryu moveset guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed everything that I was able to showcase today. This is part 2 of a 21 part series, guys, so go ahead and stick around. Go ahead and hit that bell icon if you want to be one of the first to drop a comment and see the video before anybody else, because you know I want to see some of that love and appreciation. But with all of that being said, guys, our next guide is going to be on Terry's moveset. So if you don't want to miss that, I highly suggest that you do ring that bell. But that's enough for me. I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to catch you guys next time.